Hello and welcome. We are here with Bakari Height, who is the founder and president of the Marta Army in Atlanta, Georgia, where he has dedicated his work to shine a brighter light on equitable transit across such a sprawled out Sunbelt city. He has a bachelor's in public policy from Georgia State University and a master's in city and regional planning from Georgia Tech. He has also worked for various transportation organizations such as the Georgia Department of Transportation, Atlanta Beltline, City of Atlanta, and the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, and the Philly Transit Writers Union. He is currently the operator of the nationwide Transit Equity Network with the Labor Network for Sustainability. Thank you for being here and sharing your time. It
Happy.
is Transit Equity Day.
Yeah.
This is for February 4th, 2024, which is Rosa Parks' birthday, which is the day that this transit equity has been set on. And I just want to say, when I first learned about this day, I think I probably sat up straight in my chair and I thought, there's a day for this. And it led me to contacting you. So I'm really just so happy to be learning more about transit equity day, to, via the hashtag exploring what all the different groups are that are commemorating this day, and to hopefully seeing it grow over the coming years. So I'd love to hear more about the genesis of this day and your activities.
Absolutely. So Transit Equity Day was started by Labor Network for Sustainability and the Amalgamated Transit Union, which is one of the largest unions for transit in the United States. So at a convening in Chicago, and it was a way to build solidarity with a lot of the members of the unions. And in any transit agency, you have unionized labor. And because they're the eyes and the ears of the system, like they're the ones that are looking at schedules and figuring out where to put folks. They're the machinists, they're the custodial staffs, they're every without the unions, the transit wouldn't work in this country. So, it was a great synergy to bring that and to also bring the sustainability part of it, of being able to promote that within. So, that's why our theme this year is a service and sustainability solution. We not only wanted to honor Rosa Parks for her defiant role within being able to challenge segregationist America, and as well as on public transit, but also highlight transit as a sustainability solution. It always has been one, even to the beginnings of transit when we had streetcars being run by electricity. But now we've taken such a huge step back with replacing everything with diesel buses and replacing everything with diesel trains. We want to be able to promote this, given the fact that we are in a climate crisis. We are wanting to promote cleaner ways of getting around, and especially of moving mass amounts of people in different directions. And America has a huge issue with that. We're facing huge budget cuts and huge cuts to transit service and everywhere, from Maryland to Philadelphia to California, Chicago, everywhere, even smaller towns. So Transit Equity Day is an absolute opportunity to highlight a lot of the work that our labor partners, our transit organizing partners, as well as with our green partners, to showcase what they're doing to combat that, and also to bring people to the forefront. A lot of people live in these areas and don't know how to participate. So this is an open participation for anyone to know how they can share into this, and also how they can to get better transit within their cities.
That's so great. And I'm curious what your thoughts are also on, being a US American myself, and having grown up so car dependent, I'm aware that the challenges we face are also, yeah, subpar service in a lot of places, or non-existent service, and also very stigmatized views of public transit, because in so many communities the service is such that you really need a car to function have a functional life. So until you experience a community, that you travel a little bit maybe, and you experience like how great it can be to just be able to rely on a bus, a subway, or a tram, you might have this really negative view of public transit too. So and earlier off record calls, you and I were talking, and I love the way you put it, romanticizing public transit too, and I love that. I think you and I share a lot of this, yeah, this passion too for mobility, for sustainable mobility. So I'm curious what your thoughts are also on transit equity, quality of life, well-being, and the potential for people like you and me and our orgs to bring this excitement about the potential this can bring to communities, not only for people's daily commuting needs, but yeah, for their quality of life.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Atlanta Transit Girl. That's where I got the idea for romanticizing it, because essentially, a lot of us who take public transit, we see something that a lot of others don't see. And especially like what you mentioned, like a really car-centric society like America, where your car is your status symbol. It's showing that you've made it, or you have this safety and security net. But most people don't see that transit is, the pulse of a city. It's where a lot of folks meet. It's where you see the people within your city. When I lived in Atlanta, that's where I had the awakening of it, because I grew up in a small town in South Georgia, so we didn't have transit. Closest transit I knew was Savannah, which was 60 miles north of us, and they had buses. So I always wondered, well, how do people get around on the buses versus a car? So when I got to Atlanta, I was exposed to a city with a heavy rail system, and buses that connected into the heavy rail. So um, I saw it as this whole new opportunity of, oh, I could get around with this. And especially because I went to school at Georgia State, so it was in the middle of downtown, so it was in the middle of this oasis of transit. Like, you could walk to a train station, and that's how I started getting my groceries. Was I took the train to Kroger, which is one of our grocery store chains in Atlanta. And I eventually invested in one of those push carts there. You can just easily carry it on. So I was able to learn how to do it. And over time, I just started, documenting a lot of that, of being able to learn as much as I can, so that I could share this with someone else who may also be wondering, how to do this. And I think this is something that a lot of other cities can do, and especially a lot of agencies. And we've seen in this past year, like with a lot of these large scale concerts like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, we've seen transit show up. We've seen how transit can be useful. With a lot of these big games like the Super Bowl coming up, or the National College Football Championship in Houston, and a lot of these large scale games, you see transit show up. You see how it's useful. But even in cases of evacuation, transit can also be useful, because it helps people get to higher ground that don't have a vehicle. So I think with romanticizing it, it's key to look at the good parts of transit. A lot of people always point to the bad and the evil, and that's just because a lot of people don't see transit as a huge amenity, but it's a huge amenity in the city. Even if you have bus service, you can really make that a huge amenity if you want to, like Indianapolis has. Like, they have a really amazing bus rapid transit line, and it's just bus, but they set it up to where it looks like a rapid transit line, like a subway or like a light rail. So I think it's something that America has done and has mastered, because before the 50s, everybody, even small towns, had trams, kind of like what Europe is now. Like, a lot of smaller towns had tram systems, but now it's the whole point of, how do we get folks to really sell this on the idea of spending all these millions and billions of dollars on transit to bring everybody into the fold, not just people who need it because they have no other way of getting around, but others who could use it maybe a few days out of the week, or maybe to go and get coffee, or maybe go in to get dinner, or maybe go to the doctor's office, or maybe go somewhere because maybe parking's too costly, or there are too many parking bandits, or their ticket meter maids are heinous. So we're looking at this from a point of, transit is not so bad, but it's just kind of looking at how it's good. Like, I remember times where I've ridden around on MARTA in Atlanta, and I've just been able to be in awe of how many places I could go on this, versus being able to have to worry about where my car is, or having to worry about if somebody stole it or broke into it, or worrying about being ticketed by a city that is notorious for speed traps. You know, that all goes away when you're on transit because somebody else is doing the driving. I'm only paying one fee, and I'm able to take time to myself and not have to sit in traffic. I'm able to plan out my day and not having to drive here, 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 and then also go to the gas station. It's just a better release. And, I've also been able to, you know, get a house off of that in the 15-minute city, which you were featured in a video for, and it's been great to kind of retrain myself to thinking that, oh, now I don't need a car. So I've been car free for a while, and there are challenges, but it's been better for me to tell about these challenges because others may have this, and this is how we build power. And I think this is why the Transit Equity Network is important: is bringing those people in to tell about how easy this is, and in ways that elected officials or people that work at these transit agencies can't. So, that storytelling is important, but it's also kind of that building power of getting together so that we can move forward as one and make it happen so that these cities do have equitable public transit, and that it is connected much more so that, if local residents or if visitors were able to do this, then they're able to do so via transit versus driving.
Yeah, I think that's so important what you said about focusing on the experience of people, not only that sort of have to use public transit, but those who maybe finally made the shift. Like you say you now have been car free, but you were before car dependent. You probably could have the choice to have a car again, but you've now come to this place where it's like a release to not have to be dependent. The way I frame it now too is like, really a car will be a burden. I can drive. I grew up driving. I've spent many of my life, parts of my life, using a car. I know what it is to use a car, but it's kind of like, being able to depend on public transit for me is very liberating. Of course, there's rush hour. Of course, there's moments where, maybe the station isn't adequate. I also definitely advocate for, good, comfortable, weather protected stations. So we have a lot of work to do, which I know your network focuses on too through the transit equity. But for me, being able to rely on my feet and public transit is liberating, and that's why I love talking with people like you because we all get it. And I think, yeah, that passion that we can bring for how practical it can be for our daily life, um, and how enjoyable too. I get so much reading done on public transit. Not all the time, not every ride. Yes, there are moments where it's crowded, but guess what? I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing a bunch of single occupant cars, just logging up the road for rush hour, 4 times the regular commute and, on that route. And then in that case, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I'm on the bus and I can kick back and read a book, and get a lot of work
Absolutely.
reading done. Yeah, when you and I have talked before about 15 minutes. See, I would love to close out with hearing about I love hearing your neighborhood. I can't get enough hearing people's stories about their neighborhood lifestyle. So, what is your 15-minute city lifestyle?
So back in college, I bought a condo in Midtown Atlanta, which is probably one of the very few walkable neighborhoods in Atlanta. So, it's a central business district, but it's also an entertainment district. So a lot of people come and have brunch on the weekends, or they come to go to the club. So, I live across the street from a train station. So 30 minutes, I can be at the airport, world's busiest airport in the world. 10 minutes, I can be downtown. 5 minutes, I could be in Buckhead. But yeah, when I went home for the holidays, I remember just waking up and just going around and do errands. Like I walked around and just took in awe of just the lovely weather, because the weather is just so amazing in Atlanta. I was able to go to the hardware store and pick up, because I had to replace some light bulbs in my kitchen, and they were like the longer light bulbs. So I was able to do that. I was able to go to the grocery store, pick up some things and get lunch. And I was able to go to even to get some sweets, because we were going to go home to my mom's later. So she wanted some cookies. So I got her some cookies. And I was able to do that all within an hour, within like a walk. Like I didn't get in a car. I didn't have one. I didn't go to another neighborhood. I stayed within my neighborhood. And I think that's where the concept shines, is being able to do everything within your neighborhood. Like most neighborhoods, like we're missing like that one piece that would really keep us there, to where we have to drive miles or we have to drive to another neighborhood. And I think that's where, you know, we're wanting to get back to, and especially those who do use public transit, is being able to do things, whether or not within our neighborhoods or within where our transit lines are. Like I plan a lot of things here based off of what's on my transit line. So if my grocery store is on my transit line, my doctor's office is on my transit line, or my favorite restaurants on my transit line, I'll plan for that because I know when the bus shows up. And then like with apps like the transit app or city mapper, I can track when the bus comes so that I can plan that around that. So yeah, I've had really great opportunities, and that's essentially what I want to do, for the rest of my life. I want to be able to live in the city, and I don't want to have to move to Singapore or Japan where the transit is amazing. I want to be able to do it in the place I was born, in America, and I want to be able to share that with others so that they can also promote this amongst themselves. But yeah, like I've done that so many times, and I'm proud of the investment I've made, because my realtor wanted me to live on the south side, in a completely residential neighborhood, and I was like, no, I don't want this. And it was a nice house, 2-story house, a lot of acres of land, but I'm like, no, I want to live in the city. And I think that's where a lot of people don't really get, because they see the city as so anti and so violent and so evil. But there's a lot of investment happening in cities, and a lot of that can be complemented by public transit. Like, and especially a lot of companies decide to move because they want that access to their workforce, and their workforce to live a much happier life. And if they could get everything within 15 minutes, they wouldn't need a car. They wouldn't need to have to figure out here, 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 here. And this is years of working in transportation demand management, where it's a lot more psychology than anything else. Have you thought about this? Have you pictured your life at least taking transit 3 days out of the week? And a lot of companies are starting to go to that model. Like they're starting to um, go to the reduced work week, where you're only in the office 3 days. So that allows for people to move out farther. Richmond, Virginia has become that beacon of location, because they have so much service on Amtrak, to where people can commute in a few days out of the week and it not really hit their pockets as much as taking those heinous traffic lanes on 95. So, it's kind of like looking at where you are and seeing how you can do it, but it's more psychological than anything else. And, I've looked at it from a different standpoint, and I'm able to thrive off of it. And I want to be able to continue that, and, also invest in places where, we can also create that same community.
Oh, that was a lot. There's so much wonderful stuff in there. I can't wait to continue dialogues with you. And I also admire your commitment to being in your community and to serving your community. Um, as a fellow U.S. American, I am currently in Poland, but I want to use whatever I can in any way to help, if that's voice, media, advocacy, because like you said, it's so much psychology, and this is where I see the media as an important role, education, knowledge. You and I have that shared interest in the 15-minute city, helping to understand how we can massage that concept in different ways and in different contexts, because of course it's not a one size fits all, but also helping to share the stories of people like yourself, urban dwellers, that what is city life? What is the potential? What is the beauty of it too? What is the what do these good moments? That's why I love just hearing about you saying I went to the hardware store and then got cookies because I was going out to my mom's, this and that, and I could you get the visuals of you, moving by through your neighborhood, no doubt, maybe having a little small talk here and there. And this is to me, this is what community life is about. So that's the heart of it. So this will be going up a little bit in advance of Transit Equity Day, which is in honor of civil rights icon Rosa Parks. Her birthday's on February 4th, but as I understand, your organization, Labor Network for Sustainability, is hosting a live stream on February 5th, correct?
Yes, we'll be hosting a live stream on February 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be having guest speakers from all across the country, and as well as Annika and the recording that we've had. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of folks tell the stories and tell what work they're doing to combat transit inequities within the town. So it's really wonderful. So definitely check out our YouTube channel, Transit Equity Network. We're going to be hosting it live there. And definitely follow us at the Transit Equity Network on YouTube. We also have a group on Facebook if you want to follow us there. And we have multiple opportunities. We want to be able to connect folks to continue to do this work. So definitely join us. And I'm also Bakari Obama on Twitter, Instagram, and all social medias. Definitely follow me because my lens is absolutely through transit. So I'm definitely posting everything wherever I go, and I travel a lot. So I definitely take my love of transit everywhere else I go to because I've been to LA so many times and I've never stepped foot in a vehicle, but it's always been on transit. So yeah, definitely follow us and definitely join us for Transit Equity Day.
Okay, we're gonna have to chat. I'm heading to Southern California tomorrow, so I might need some tips because I haven't been back to those are my old stomping grounds. I haven't been there in over 20 years, but I'm excited. But okay, check him out, Bakari Obama on all the socials, laborforsustainability.org. Transit Equity Day coming up February 4th and 5th. Thank you so much, Bakari. I look forward to continued dialogue.
Thank you.